What's going on, you guys? This is going to be my spoiler review of Sinners. I got to watch it last night, and I'm just going to say this right now. This is movie of the year, movie of the century. And if this, I'm not a big fan of Oscars or Academy Awards, but I swear to God, if this gets snubbed of any type of awards, robbery at its fucking finest. We get Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler teaming up for another movie, my favorite Ryan Coogler movie, of course, being the first Creed movie. All I can say is that this movie is a fucking 10 out of 10. It is perfect. It's amazing. It's not just Coogler's storytelling alone, it's the acting for Michael B. Jordan, from Haley Steinfeld, for even just the side characters, and even just how beautifully shot this movie is with the cinematography and the writing alone. It's just so well done, the dialogue and everything. And can we talk about the vampire part of this story? Because I felt like even the vampires were an amazing addition to this movie. We get the amazing Jack O'Connell playing the amazing antagonist, the Irish vampire immigrant, Remick. And I just gotta say, they did amazing with that character as a main antagonist. He's an Irish immigrant, and we do know that Irish people were slaves too. And he tries to sympathize with all the African Americans in this movie, telling them that he can help them get immortality and just escape from racism, get away from all of it. And we see characters like Smoke and even little Sammy just almost kind of considerate just to get away from all the bullshit. And they easily could have fumbled that aspect of the story. And like I said, I wasn't sure how Ryan Coogler could do the horror aspect when it comes to a movie like this, but he does it to perfection. I also think this movie has a perfect blend of comedy into it, little moments that make you laugh, but also there's some pretty good scares in this one where I actually did jump quite a few times. Side characters Annie and Delta Slim were some of my favorites, especially Delta Slim. I wish he would have made it towards the end. That dude had me laughing on the ground, especially with his interactions with Cornbread. And all I could think about when I heard Cornbread was this scene from Life. Hey girl, you gonna eat your cornbread? And I know it's not the same movie; they're completely different type of movies. But I'm not gonna. That scene had me laughing, especially when I heard the name Cornbread. And let's also talk about the musical aspects in this movie. The music, like, I'm glad I saw this with my wife and an entire audience that got down to the jazz scene, the club scene, the blues music, to where we see them dancing with the past, future, and present. It's such a beautiful scene. And even if you're just a music fan alone, I think this one scene alone is worth just watching the entire movie. And even when we get to see Remick and with this army of vampires dance to an Irish song, kind of, bringing equality to everyone, regardless of who you are, black, white, yellow, brown, it didn't matter. And so I didn't think I was going to get down to an Irish song like that, too. So everyone was just clapping, cheering, hollering. It was an amazing movie experience. And I'm not a big fan of music scenes or musicals in general, but god damn it, both of those scenes were just amazing and beautifully well done. And again, I also say that this is such a cultural movie. Like, it's just beautiful like that. And even if you're not a big culture person, you have to admit that the screenplay and just story alone is worth just seeing this movie alone. I also love how Remick was just attracted to Sammy's voice when he was singing the blues type of music. And he loved it. It was beautiful to him because he wanted to see his ancestors and he was just so attracted to it. And again, that's just another thing that kind of brings us all together as human beings. It's just whether it's music, TV shows, sports, anything, to where we all have a common interest and love. And again, it goes back to what I say about this movie. I love the culture aspect of it, the music aspect of it, which I didn't think I was going to be a big fan of. Like I said, I got down to the Irish singing, to the Irish dancing scene too, and everything about this movie was just so beautifully done. I don't really have any negatives with this movie besides the mom telling all the vampires to come in and get it. Yeah, that's just a small nitpick. I just would have thrown her ass out there and be like, fine, go with them. But other than that, that's probably my only nitpick with this movie. And I'm just gonna say, Haley Steinfeld as Mary. Oh, she got a potty mouth in this movie. Ooh, like, I didn't think she was gonna have that type of voice and language. And I'm gonna say it right now, justice for Stack. I was so heartbroken. And as someone who has five brothers, that Stack's death scene really hit me hard, especially with the way Smoke didn't want to let him go, didn't want to accept him Stack dying. It hit the right note with that, especially as someone who has brothers. And the ending of this movie is just so beautiful to where the only survivors are Sammy and Smoke. And then Smoke realizes that he's never going to have a peaceful life because we realize that the owner that Stack and Smoke bought the sawmill from, he was going to have him eventually bite the dust due to to the KKK. And Smoke realizes that they're never going to have a peaceful life. They're never going to get away from the bullshit. And he tells Sammy to get on and get, like, just leave me, forget about me. And then we see Smoke in one of the most badass scenes in cinema of this year take out the KKK, a good amount of them. And he gets mortally wounded. And as he's dying, he sees Annie and their unborn baby in the afterlife. And they're waiting for him. And that, oh man, there wasn't a dry eye during that scene. You hear people sniffling, crying. It was emotional. And to me, and that's the one thing I did love about this movie is that everyone's ending had a perfect story arc. Everyone had the perfect ending, whether it was sad, happy, or just bittersweet. There was no loose ends. Everyone had a story and they fulfilled it. Let's also talk about that post-credit scene too, where it's revealed that Stack and Mary are still alive because we see that Smoke is about to kill Stack, but then Smoke can't do it because let's be honest, could you really, really take out your own sibling, especially your twin sibling? And so Smoke makes Stack promise that he won't take him out if he leaves Sammy alone, and he fulfills on that promise. And we see Sammy still being an amazing blues music artist, and he's an old man. And we see Mary and Stack visit him, and they tell him about the promise and everything. And he even offers Sammy a chance at immortality, the same offer that they got many years ago at that jazz club. And Sammy says he'd rather go out as an old man, but then Stack offers him money and says, "Sing us one more song." And he does, and it's such a beautiful scene. Mary and Stack are in love with it. And I just love how, despite them being vampires, there's still a little bit of Mary and Stack in them to where they're showing their love and appreciation to Sammy. And Sammy says, even though it was one of the most horrific nights ever and he still has nightmares about it, it was still one of the best nights ever. And especially when Stack says to him it was the best night ever because he was able to be free. The last night he was free to just wander around. And the last time he ever saw his brother and was just so filled with love and was able to be free. And chef's kiss. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and to the entire cast of this movie, everyone, you guys did a hell of a job with this movie. So I really recommend this. This is movie of the year for me, a perfect 10 out of 10. That's going to do it for this review. I seriously hope you give this movie a chance. Now, did they kind of leave the room open for a sequel or spin-off? Yes, yeah, they do, but in all honesty, I kind of just rather have this be a one and done movie. Everything just ties up perfectly. There's no loose ends. But yeah, like I said, check out this movie. It is an original movie, and you guys do complain about no more originality. Support this movie. That's all I'm going to say.